Hello and welcome to the Coding Dude channel. My name is Noah Reef and welcome to the next video in our Introduction to Python tutorial series. So as a quick kind of review from what we covered in the last video, um, first off I want to just point out that these are what are called comments. And comments are preceded by these hashtag pound signs. Um, and that basically you can use them to write things that don't execute in your code, and they're more for the programmer to be able to see maybe little bits of information or notes to kind of highlight what certain blocks of code are doing or things of that sort. Um, sorry, I just wanted to preface that so you know what these are. Um, so in the last video, we covered what data types were and variables. We covered that there are really 5 main data types, especially in Python: integers, floats, characters, strings, and Boolean. Uh, and an integer was just a whole number like the number 5. A float was some decimal value like 3.14. A character was a single letter, like here we can see the letter A. And characters traditionally are usually put between single quotes. A string is really just a collection of characters, and it's usually words or sentences. And we have hello world, and those are usually kept between double quotes. And then we have Booleans, which really a Boolean data type can really only be true or false. And we kind of left it with that. Excuse me. Then we have uh, the kind of basic math operations that you can do in Python. You can add, subtract, divide, multiply, and then there was this new one called Modulo, or the modulus operator, that basically gave you the remainder of a division. Um, and yeah, and then lastly, we went over the print function and concatenation. Um, and so the print function, as you may remember, prints whatever is between the two parentheses, whatever string is in between the two parentheses. And concatenation is where we can combine strings. So here we have the string your name is, and then we're just adding and tacking on the variable name that contains the string, which is going to be my name. So if we actually execute it, here we can see all of the operations that we had before, um, and what they return, as well as just the result of this print statement with concatenation. Um, yes, so that's sort of like a brief, quick review of what we covered in the last video. So today we're going to kind of cover just conditional statements and what those are. So kind of as like a quick introduction to understanding conditional statements, we kind of want to start with an analogy. So a conditional statement is really just a statement. Conditional statements or conditional blocks of code are really just blocks of code that won't execute till a certain condition is met. Um, for example, you might have a certain checklist of things that need to be completed before you can do something else. Maybe like before you can eat, you need to make sure that you only eat at a specific time. The table must be set, and different things like that. Or you could think of a condition such as like you might check the weather, and if the weather is rainy, then bring an umbrella. That would be another example of a conditional statement where you have this condition about the weather and if it's being, if it's rainy, and if it is indeed rainy, then you're going to bring an umbrella. Elsewise, you don't need to bring an umbrella. This same concept can be applied when it comes to programming, except instead of it being an action like bringing an umbrella, it's a block of code that will only execute when a certain condition is met. So when the sort of basic structure of any condition is what is known as else if. Um, and so basically the if kind of poses the question about a specific sort of condition, and else basically is, well, if that doesn't happen, if this if doesn't happen, then this is what you're going to do by default. So the way we usually define it In Python is just you write if, and then usually here is where you're going to have some statement, and it's going to either evaluate to be true or false. And if it's true, then whatever, oops, sorry. If it's true, then code, whatever code is in this block will execute, and then you might write else, and then whatever code is here will execute. And maybe I'll call this code code B and code A. So basically, you're going to have some sort of condition here. If it's true, then code A will execute. If it's false, however, then code B will execute. And so this is sort of just the general structure of and to kind of just prove it, we're gonna write true by default, and we're gonna maybe make code A right now just hello, and we'll make code B to just print out goodbye. Goodbye. So when we run it, we can see that when it's true, it's checking if this statement here is true, and by default we made it a literal true. Here, it's going to execute this block of code, and it's going to ignore this one, so that's why hello comes out. But if I type in false, if I hard code false in here and I run it, it's going to check this statement here, and by default I've hard coded it to be false. And so it's going to say, well, okay, well, this condition isn't being met, so we're not going to execute this block of code. So it's going to kind of default to this else statement. And inside of it, it's going to then execute this block of code, which just prints the string goodbye. Of course, we can do better things than just writing true or false here. But right now, I'm just kind of going to leave it blank as we kind of get into the next thing, which has to do with logical operators. And the reason why logical operators are important is because they help set up how we can use the rest of our conditional statements. So logical operators are, there's three main types of operators. So the three main types are and, or, and not. Sorry with this and. But these are the three main logical operators. And what these are in truth is that these are sort of almost in the same sense of adding, subtracting, and maybe dividing or multiplying, which are operators themselves. These do the same thing but with logic, and the outcome can only be true or false instead of being a number. So sort of some colloquial examples of how you and I may talk, and an example where this might come about is, suppose we have two statements, and in this case for me, my name is Noah. Whoops. And we also have the statement, my eyes are blue. These are kind of the two statements we're going to work with. And so with the and operator requires that both of these statements be true for the whole statement to be true. So in this case, it would be true because my name is Noah and I do have blue eyes. So this whole statement is actually true. But suppose I said my name is David, David, and my eyes are blue. Well, then this statement's actually going to be false. And that's because, sure, my eyes are blue, but my name isn't David, and requires both of these to be true. And of course, if the other one was false, but the first one was true, so my name is Noah and my eyes are green, that's still going to be false. And similarly, if both of the statements are false, then it's going to be false. So really, it's all you have to really remember is that the statements need to be true in order for the whole thing to be true. Or, however, does something interesting. So or only requires that one statement be true. So here I'm going to just change all of the ands to ors real quick. And so in this case, since both of these statements are true, it's going to be true. Or it just requires one of them to be, but if both of them are, that's perfectly fine. It'll make it true. Here, however, um, since yes, my name isn't David, but my eyes are indeed blue. And so this one might be less intuitive, but because at least my eyes are blue, it's going to make the statement true. Same thing here. Even though my eyes aren't green, my name is Noah, and an or only requires that one of the statements be true in order for the whole statement to be true. So here we can kind of see that with or here, since both my name isn't David and my eyes aren't green, this whole statement is going to be false. Since none of these conditions are true, this whole statement is actually going to be false. And then not into itself is not a big deal. All it does is it flips the truth value of a statement. And so again, kind of using our sentences here, if I said my name is Noah, then since this statement is true, for me to say my name is not Noah would then make it false because my name is Noah. So for me to say it isn't would make it false. But if I said, my name is David, well, that's going to be false because, well, my name isn't David. But if I said my name is not David, well, then this is going to be true because my name isn't David. So not just flips the truth value of it. So here, this was true, not just makes it false. And similarly here, if the statement was already false, then adding the not made it true. And so this is sort of a basic introduction to it and sort of how we can execute it with code. Kind of going back to this example up here. If I write if true and false, so here I'm just hard coding it, we're going to see that it still prints out goodbye because here we have this and statement, and this is going to be since one of these is false, it's going to then say, well, this whole thing is false. And so it's going to just say, well, okay, since this is false, I'm not going to execute this block of code here, and it instead does what's in this else statement. However, if I make it both true, it's going to execute the hello since both statements are true. Here, if I write or false, then we see that it prints out hello because sure, I have this false here, but I have this true here. And since I have at least this true within this or statement, it's going to print out the hello. And here we can see that if I type in false or false, it doesn't matter since both of these are false, then this whole thing is false. And so it's just going to print out goodbye. And then lastly, we can say if not true, then it's going to only print out goodbye because it's really flipping the sign. So it starts out as being true. This not is going to make it false. And so since it's false, it's not going to execute this code and instead going to do what's in this else statement here. Similarly, if I write if not false and do it, it prints out hello because it starts out as false, not flips the sign. So it's now going to be not false or true. And so it's going to execute this print hello statement here. And so this is all, a little bit nuanced, but this is really just to get to the point of what we can do with more complicated versions of the else and if statement. So one thing is that you don't have to hard code things like that. For example, we might have some variable here. And we're going to say maybe we'll make it 6, not 65. And we might say if variable on, I forgot this one, there's this equality operator is equal to 6. Do this. Elsewise, do the goodbye. So here we can see that if I execute it, variable is indeed equal to 6. And sorry, I kind of skimmed over it. This is the equality operator, which is different than this equal sign. Normally in math, when you write the equal sign, it asks when two things are equivalent. Here, a single equal sign is called the assignment operator, which really is just assigning this data over here to this variable name. In this case, it's called variable. But here, this is actually checking if two things are equivalent to one another. So this equal sign is really the same thing as the single equal sign in math, of where it's checking if two things are the same. So here it's really checking, is this 6 that's stored in this variable equivalent to 6? Well, yeah, 6 is equal to 6, so that's true, and it's going to go ahead and print out hello. If I change it to maybe like 7, well, now it's false. 7 isn't equal to 6, so this is false, and it's going to go ahead and run this. And of course, we can build off what we did before with the other operators, such as maybe we want to check maybe if the variable is equal to 6 or the variable is equal to 7. Well, here, one of these is true, right? Because 7 is equal to 7. That's true. Sure, 7 isn't equal to 6, but or just requires one of these to be true. And since 7 is equal to 7, that's true. So it's going to go ahead and print this hello. Maybe if I add another variable, and we might just call this a temporary variable, and we might say hello. I don't know. So here we might want to check and say, let's change this to say if temp is equal to hello, and we say and, well, here we can see that it still prints hello because this temporary variable does have hello in it, and hello is equal to hello. And this variable, which is equal to 7, is going to also be true. So true and true, well, that makes this whole thing true. If I, however, change this to maybe be 8 instead, well, here we're going to see that, sure, this temporary variable here, hello, is equivalent to hello, but variable which is set to 8 isn't equal to 7. And so we have true and false, which makes the whole statement false, and therefore we're not going to execute this block of code, and instead is going to only execute what's under this else statement. The last kind of quick thing that also really quick to just add the not here. Here we're going to go ahead and stick this whole statement in between parentheses. So we know that it's false, but like I said before, not flips the sign. So even though this was false, not makes it true, and that's why it executes the hello. Now, sorry, the last thing I kind of wanted to quickly cover was elif, or else if itself, which is basically, suppose there were more conditions that you wanted to check for. Maybe you didn't just want to check for this one thing, but maybe you have different things. So maybe here's an example of something. Suppose that you were given 3 options of side dishes that you could pick. And so maybe here we're going to have a variable called side dish. So you know how like when you're at a restaurant and you're ordering food, they might ask you what you want on the side. Suppose that here, this is sort of a similar thing. And so maybe what we want to say is that if we have like the option of the side dish can be, so side dish options. Let's go ahead and move that up here. And so the side dish options can either be, we can either have maybe French fries. Whoops, that's not how to spell French fries. We can either have maybe a salad, a side salad, and maybe a soup. Soup is the other side. You're gonna have a soup. So you can only pick one. And so right now, here's our side dish variable. And suppose we want to just inform the user of the one they picked. So here we might say, okay, if the side dish is equal to French, oops, if I can spell, French fries, go ahead and print you ordered the French French fries. But now what if we want to check to see about the salad? Do we just want to write if again? No, we have this option of elif. And elif just kind of says, well, if this wasn't true, we'll check if this is true. And if this isn't true, go to the default. So here we might say, okay, well, if they didn't pick the French fries, maybe we want to check if the side dish they got was the salad. And if they got the salad, then we want to say you ordered the salad. Oops, just want to, maybe we'll get rid of that. You ordered the salad. Now, lastly, we want to check to see if they ordered maybe the soup. So we would say side dish is equal to soup. And if it's equal to, oops, soup, then we're going to say you ordered the soup. And lastly, if they didn't pick anything or none of these options, you ordered a non-valid side dish. So here we can see that we're just going to go ahead and check to see what the side dish is. So if I write in French fries, then when I run this code, we're going to say you ordered the French fries. If I change this to be the salad, then you ordered the salad. Lastly, if I do soup, run it, you ordered the soup. But maybe I'm going to be a little mischievous and say I ordered uh, coleslaw. I think that's how you spell it. And here it will check to see, well, the side dish wasn't French fries. Okay, so we're gonna now move over here and check to see if it was a salad. Well, coleslaw is not a salad. Okay, so maybe not that one. Then we're gonna check, oh, is it a soup? Well, no, coleslaw isn't a soup. So then it goes to its default statement here in this else block, which is you ordered a non-valid side dish. So that's kind of the basic structure of else if and how to use conditional statements. So hopefully in this video, you learned how to use conditional statements and understood the basic logical operators and kind of how those Boolean expressions work in terms of executing blocks of code in conditional statements. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for more videos in this Introduction to Python series. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and cover loops. If you have any questions or comments onto what I have done in this video, please leave it in the comments down below. I will make sure to take a look and respond to as many as I can. And thank you for watching.